it's early on a Saturday morning in the summer of 1986 in Phoenix, Arizona. And my high school buddy Shelly and I are dressed fashionably in the thick burgundy polyester of our Taco Bell uniforms. And Shelly's got the mop and I've got the bucket, and we've been sent out to clean the Taco Bell bathroom, which opens to the back parking lot and which some fool left unlocked all night. I have a bad feeling about this, I say. And I turn the knob of that bathroom door, and you know how sometimes a smell is so bad that you can almost see it? And we could see the source of that smell on the floor. Let's just say that the pudding had puddled. And I took one look at that bathroom floor and decided that this was a job for Shelly. She was the more experienced employee. And this is either a really bad or a really good time to tell you that I was in love with Shelly. She was a blonde goddess, and she'd come over to my house and wrestle with me on my living room floor. But my love for Shelly was not a chivalrous kind of love. Or I would have thrown my coat over that Taco Bell shit puddle, the classy move, the Sir Walter Molly. And in my defense, I had just found out that morning that Shelly had gotten a cash kickback for bringing me on the job. So the woman I love had pimped me out to Taco Bell. So I just stood aside and I let Shelly charge right into that bathroom. And soon after, Shelly's parents called to complain. A professional cleaner company was hired to do the bathroom from then on, and Shelly quit the job. And I was like, wow, this summer has really taken a bad turn. But I had a car to keep running, so I decided to stick around and do as little work as possible for Taco Bell. I soon found out that you can only hide in the walk-in fridge for so long. Eventually, someone's going to come around and give you a dirty job. Now, I ended up doing this job for a year and a half, and I will tell you that I never saw anybody do anything gross to the food. But I will tell you that the food did plenty of gross things to us. One of the worst jobs was getting rid of the meat grease. So I had to go out to the parking lot with these heavy pans of coagulated fat that had turned an orange color. And then I had to kneel by the dumpster and scoop the orange sludge into this weird little meat dungeon called the grease trap. And inevitably, every time I was kneeling there, a coworker would pop up behind me and say, pumpkin pie. But to me, the dirtiest job was answering the drive-through bell. Because inevitably, some rich kid from my high school who didn't have to work would drive up in a car that his parents bought for him. And I felt filthy having to serve these snotty kids tacos, right? So I did everything I could to get out of the job, and the best way to get out of it was to be the steamer. You were the head of the assembly line, and you put the beans on the tortillas. And I had this job for a quick minute, but then this guy, Skinny Steve, sucked up to the manager, Macho Josh, and stole the steamer job away from me. So now, in order to get my steamer job back, I had to go right into the dirty world of Taco Bell politics. I had to engage the top brass, the honchos Bel Grande. This meant that I had to go out to the parking lot and find my manager, Cranky Kim, on her smoke break. And I liked Cranky Kim because she was really honest. One time she said to me, "Don't get into drugs, kid. That's how I ended up here. I got fired from my good job as a nurse for stealing pain pills." And I was like, wow, Cranky Kim is way more convincing than Nancy Reagan. She should be like heading up DARE. But I couldn't find Cranky Kim, so I tried to find my other manager, A-List April. And A-List April kind of looked like a cartoon version of Snow White, and I gave her nickname when she gathered all of us teenagers in a staff meeting, and she said, "Here's how it works in high school. Some kids are on the A-list, and some kids are on the B-list, and I was always on the A-list." I was like, she may have been on the A-list in high school, but when she said this, she was wearing the exact same Taco Bell visor as Cranky Kim. I couldn't find A-List April either, so I had to settle for the assistant manager, Rock and Roll Reza. And Rock and Roll Reza was from Iran, and he loved talking about music. So one time we were having our usual Stones versus Beatles debate, and my argument was that the Stones rocked harder, but Reza's argument was that John Lennon had been hotter than Mick Jagger. And I was like, is this some kind of code? Because it just didn't seem like an argument that a straight dude would make. So from then on, Rock and Roll Reza was like my cool gay guy buddy, and he had my back. So I said, "Hey man, how can I get my steamer job back?" And he said, "Well, Skinny Steve's in pretty tight with Macho Josh." And I had to ask what "in pretty tight" meant. What was in? What was tight? Was this some kind of code? Did I lose my steamer job because those two were secretly spurting their hot taco sauce on each other? Were they feeding each other their beef burrito supremes? Were Skinny Steve and Macho Josh in love? And Reza said, "Yeah, you're never getting that steamer job back." And he said, "But hey, this might cheer you up. Muscle Dude over there wants to ask you out." And I looked over, and the new guy was lifting this big thing of refried beans, and so his muscles were just ripped. And I was like, that guy looks like he might answer the drive-through bell for me. And I know what you're thinking. But if you were a high school lesbian in 1986, you had two choices. You could risk being outed as a queer pariah, disowned by your family, and excommunicated from the human race. Or you could give a few blowjobs and be America's sweetheart. It was just like that Robert Frost poem. Two paths diverged in the woods, and I took the blowjob route. So I dated Muscle Dude for a little while, but it all fell apart when he made fun of me for putting my my wallet in my back pocket instead of carrying a purse. And so then I moved on to Punk Rock Patrick, the taco shell fryer. And he was great. He introduced me to the Pixies, and he was this really cute little brawny short guy, and he walked with a little bit of a limp because he had spina bifida. But I didn't make fun of him for the limp, and he didn't make fun of me for my fucking wallet, which is great. And he also taught me to fry the taco shells. And I soon found out that if you were the taco shell fryer, you didn't have to answer the drive-through bell. was going great at this point until one day the thing that I had been dreading happened. And A-list April came running in from the dining room, and she said, "Those high school kids, I can't deal with them." And I was like, you know what, maybe this would be a good time to recant that little speech you've been given. But I felt bad for her, so I went out there, and sure enough, it was a pack of the biggest jerks from my school, and they were smashing taco sauce packets onto the tables with their fists. And when they left, I walked up to the tables and I realized that they had used the taco sauces to spell "fuck you." I was like, is this some kind of code? And now when I think about staring down the taco sauce "fuck yous," I don't think about the kids that make the mess. I think about all the people that I've been telling you about, my coworkers that I loved. And I think about Shelly, because this time I did the right thing. I cleaned up that mess so that my friends wouldn't have to.